Hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to Illuminating the Stories That Bind Us. In this series, psychotherapist Jennifer H. Carey interviews and helps applicants illuminate a story that is binding them. Applicants can choose to write in a letter or be a participant on the podcast and be interviewed. Both anonymous and both give you the opportunity to voice a limiting story and watch it begin to dissolve. We can all heal, learn, and grow from listening to how the beliefs and stories we create can consciously and subconsciously run our lives, binding us and holding us back. This season, Jen collaborates with singer-songwriter Shannon Ward, who is also co-founder of Fiercely Peaceful and Love Inside Out Now. Shannon is on a mission to help people remember who they are, and she has carried that mission with her as an artist, playwright, healer, and co-facilitator of retreats. She's worked on the WOW stage with Jen and with Mick and Tess Pulver from Breakthrough Performance. At the end of each podcast, Shannon and Jen will prescribe a song for the participant to help them transform beyond the limiting story they are telling themselves. Together, let's listen and shine light so we can break through and step forward into our unlimited potential. The voices and stories of these podcasts are true, but names and other identifying information are removed to protect the privacy and confidentiality of the participants.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Illuminating the Stories That Bind Us. This is Season 2, Episode 3. Yes, I am Jennifer Carey, and this is Shannon Ward, our absolute, yes, she is my co-host, but she is also the star of the show today.
Well,
yes.
I don't know that, but I'm very excited.
Yep, absolutely. My goodness. Are we in for treats? Yes, more than just a treat. You know how usually they say like, oh, you're in for a treat today. No, there's treats. There's more than one. Multiple treats in this episode. Our co-host, singer-songwriter Shannon Ward is courageous as ever today. In this episode, she is giving us gifts through her bravery. Gift number 1, she is bravely showing how to be vulnerable and illuminate a story so that it can be brought to light and no longer stand between her and her mission and her dreams. So that's gift number 1. 2, the song being prescribed today. Well, actually, there's going to be 2 songs prescribed. So I am going to prescribe a song that Shannon has no idea about. So I'm going to prescribe that song. And then, drum roll, we are going to hear a song that Shannon Ward wrote and sang, and it is going to debut in this capacity for the first time. Is that what debut means? Is debut first time? So like I'm redundant? It doesn't matter. You know what I mean. It has not been released yet.
I'm a vocal debutante.
There you go. There you go. I love it. All right. And third, we hold the pleasure and honor of being able to witness this song breaking her through a story that has bound her since age 8, should we say? Yeah. Okay. So before Shannon and I start diving into the tank of bravery and gifts, I want to mention how Shannon's story that she shares today really shows how early messages, and in Shannon's case, quite traumatic messages for a child. So not only is it an early message at like a formative time, but also there's some trauma around it, can unconsciously drive the bus of our lives for decades. So let us hold the utmost compassion for Shannon. Why? Because when you hear the messaging that she had as a child, you can only imagine the power of those messages. what they must have felt like as a child, and what she continues to break through now every time she counteracts that message, every time she steps out of that messaging. So thank you, Shannon, for your bravery today. I can feel in my bones that this episode is going to have the most amazing ripple effect of healing and dissolving stories that are binding us. Because remember, as you do it, it invites all of us to do it. Plus, every listener that can relate to what you share, whether there's like threads of it that they can relate to, you're breaking free for them as well. So together we are going to meet the power of those messages that you're about to hear and transform and dissolve them so that we and the recipients of Shannon's gift of song and mission will remember who we are. And when we hear her song for the first time, we know that she has just broken free. So I know that you are taking the step because you want to live by example, remembering who you truly are, Shannon Ward, and living, creating, and expressing yourself from that truth. So let's do this. Let's do this. All right. So Shannon, can you, first of all, thank you again for agreeing to do this.
Thank you.
I'm being here. And can you begin by sharing what you knew about your truth at age 8, and then how that was distorted and changed at such a formative age?
Yes. Even going back before, I knew at the age of 4 that I was here to act and sing and connect people. I just knew it. It was in my bones. My parents divorced, and at the age of 6, I went to California. And what I knew at the age of 8, when I asked to live with my mom and get an agent to act, I was very clear that I was in the abundance. It was just absolutely clear. Mom, I want to be here. We were in California at the time. And she was totally on board with it. And when I asked my dad, several things happened. I was told that what I wanted was killing him, that I was breaking his heart. So the very first thing that I learned is being clear and in my abundance and knowing what I want is going to destroy somebody who I love. So for me to win, someone loses. How do I do that? And second message was, without going down a whole long road, my dad had kidnapped me once before, but sent me back to California. But he showed up a second time the day I had started school here in California, and my mom was taking me out of school half a day early to go and sign a contract with an agent to do McDonald's commercials. And so I was really excited. So dad was hurt, but I was here in California. So my dad showed up at the school and took me a second time. And I started negotiating with him or whatever, but he was my dad. I loved him. I wasn't going to make a scene. I got in the car with him and he said he was going to call mom. And then as soon as we got to the airport, he lied. He said he called her, but he didn't. But when we were on the plane going back to Missouri, he said that God led him to me and it was a miracle. And that if my mother had been living right, he would have never been able to find me. So that huge second story meant, even though I was clear and in abundance, I didn't know what I was doing. I could not trust myself. He knew what was best for me, and that my creativity was something that I was going to be punished for by going against him. A line I wrote in a song is, funny how God looked just like my daddy, preaching right wrong in the back of an LA taxi. My hopes and dreams in one hand, plane tickets in the other. Say hello to Stockholm, a long and disappointing lover. Because he became my hero. So I literally turned my back on everything that I knew to be true and went into dad became God and the hero thing. Could not trust myself. So that's a very long-winded answer, but that really is pretty comprehensive of some pretty intense things. And I've repeated that pattern through my life of getting very close. And then all of a sudden it's like getting hit from behind. Like, wait a minute, I'm in the joy. And then immediately the disappointment because I'm waiting for the punishment to come from following my dream creatively and doing what I love. And it's happened throughout my life.
Wow. Thank you for sharing all that. Your lyrics are so deep and give you that visual. Cause as you were talking, I was literally following the story. Like I was picturing you as a child, like being picked up by him at school. And then the way the song like says on one hand, you know, your dreams. And then on the other hand, the plane tickets. And cause I was seeing all of it in my head, you know, you going to the airport, your dad, suddenly your dad knows better than what you wanted. And the way you tell the story, which I know to be true, and how then that experience and what you were told in that experience then dictated like an autopilot the rest of your life. Like, I'm going to be this close, you know, after school, I'm going to sign the papers for the McDonald's commercials, like this close to my dream. And then it's taken away because, you know, that's not good and you deserve to be punished.
Yep.
And that just like plays itself out over and over. Not today, but it has, right?
Yeah.
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 Is there a way, like, we know that this has been keeping you from realizing your dreams. This has kept you bound, right? Illuminating the stories that bind us. What would your life look like without the story?
I would be on stage, you know, singing, masses of people singing and just being in the joy of music, but also in the collective, because for me, it's about other people remembering who they are. There is a freedom, there is a joyful focus and clarity and momentum of just being in the resources and being in the collaboration. It's not about me per se. It's the I that is me, that is you, that becomes we. And so it is the collective joy and tribe of us co-creating and living our lives in service and creative healing and expression, which is really what I feel is meant to happen on this planet. We are all meant to go for our joy and live in that place of creative healing, freedom, and to know that there is enough. There's so much abundance and resources for all of us to contribute. And it's authentic and it's just delightful and it's very welcoming. I'm feeling like there's no blocking money. There's no blocking, you know, I can feel like there's a glass here and I'm like, see on the other side, I'm like, hey, yeah, you. I will constantly see these people. I'm like, oh, we're supposed to work together. Why aren't we? And it almost feels like an alternate universe, but it's because of that bind that gets in the way. You remove that and it's just freedom to connect.
Freedom to connect. And how do you watch the story of waiting for the rug to be pulled, waiting for the punishment? How do you watch that and make sure that that's because it's not true. It's not real, right?
How do I watch that? Yeah. You mean, and how do I track it so that I'm not at the effect of it anymore?
That's it.
Well, I feel like I'm doing that right now. I feel like you and I are doing a lot of it. We did it with the WOW stage. I feel like even releasing the song is doing that, because the song's been 10 years in the making, from inception, from my best friend who gave me these precious little lines and said, hey, I thought of this, do something with it. And boom. But all of the ways that I've stopped it, and I trust divine timing, but to
end.
And yeah, this story, like the Joe Dispensas, like stopping and going, change. Is that really the change I want to listen to, the song I want to listen to? Or how do I change the station? How do I tune in? You know, and we're doing his meditation. We're doing these things that are powerful. So I feel like I'm in that process, but it is a daily walk of awareness and support and learning to trust a little more.
Awareness, support, and learning to trust. Yeah, I like that word, because that's the part that wants to hold on to the story has to trust it can let go.
Yeah, that I'm safe, that I'm actually safe, that it's not going to happen again.
Yes.
You know, and I will say there can be a double bind, because now when something happens, it can be like, well, what did I do wrong? Everybody tells me this is what I'm supposed to do. So if it's not happening, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? So it's another way. It has been historically another way to kind of beat myself up and rob myself of the joy.
Yeah, amazing how the stories can get you coming and going. The stories can get you coming and going. Ooh, okay. So I am just deeply honored again that you shared this story and that we can be a part of Lucky Me being released. And I do have the song.
Sweet.
Should I share that first and then we'll go back to Lucky Me? Does that feel like the right order for you? Or should we do Lucky Me and then I share the song?
Share the song. I think that's part of it. I think that'll be part of helping me be in the energy of birthing.
Got it. Well, so there's already a synchronous story about this. So I'm just going to self-disclose. I'm just going to tell people, I'm going to be transparent. So when we were going into this podcast, everyone, Shannon, we're about to go go live. And Shannon's like, okay, wait, there's one thing I need to be clear about. Are you prescribing a song or is Lucky Me the song? And I was like, Lucky Me's the song? And then I was like, wait a second. And I get these stories ahead of time. And whenever people write in to be on the podcast, I get the stories ahead of time so I can kind of work with them and all that jazz. But so it didn't take me long. Like as soon as I was like, oh, I have to prescribe a song, and I heard it immediately. And I just started hearing the lines, and then I quickly was like, hold on, Shannon. And I looked up the lyrics and I was like, oh yeah. Because I'm like a lyric person. So the singer of this has the same last name as me and is spelled the same way. So it's Mariah Carey. Mariah Carey. Hero. And what was so fascinating is then you brought up your dad. But the lyric, so then I was like, oh, Jen, you can't do that one anymore. But the lyric that popped in my head is, there's a hero deep inside your heart. And so then I was like, oh, I have to keep prescribing it.
How interesting. Wow. Okay. That's really powerful. Wow.
There's a hero. If you look inside your heart, you don't have to be afraid of what you are. There's an answer. If you reach into your soul, and the sorrow that you know will melt away. And then a hero comes along with the strength to carry on, keep going. And you cast your fears aside and you know you can survive. So when you feel like hope is gone, look inside you and be strong. And you'll finally see the truth that the hero lies in you.
Wow. Okay. That makes total sense. And I just feel very quiet with that. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of gratitude. I've never really listened to those lyrics before. I'm a big house head. I haven't. So she was never at the top of my playlist, but I have fierce, mad respect for her. But those lyrics, that's profound.
And it was the first thing. It was, there's a hero when you look inside your heart. That was the first thing that came when you asked me to prescribe a song. So then I'm writing as you're telling the story about your dad. And I wrote hero circle. And I was like, scratch that out, Jen. Don't be bringing in hero. But then I'm like, oh God, no, I have to.
No, because even in the chorus, it's like, I won't go into the whole chorus of the song, but it's like, remove the coward's mask, remove the false hero, remove the coward's mask to show, or remove the mask and show the coward behind, because he hid behind this hero. And he took it on. He loved that role.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. There's power in that.
Sure. Yeah. A lot of narcissism.
Power.
Mm-hmm. A lot of narcissism in my room.
Yeah. No, go
ahead.
I was just going to say that's just another example of the power behind this messaging, and like, how can we hold compassion? That is why, I mean, it's not hard to see why. It's not hard to see why you've been bound. Dad, hero, messaging behind what you're saying was like narcissistic energy, which can be very like convincing, very charismatic, right?
Well, my dad was huge he looked like a cross between Andy Griffith and James Garner. And he had that old cowboy charm, and very much, very charismatic in that way. So.
Yeah. So we hold compassion for the story. And can you share a little bit more about how lucky me, you started to say that, your best friend kind of threw you some lines. Can you just share how lucky me was born, and just how it really is helping you step through and break through that story?
Yes. We used to watch the show called Nashville, and my best friend and I live together now, Leilani Kine. Amazing. And she's my muse so many times. We were watching it, and she had written down these 2 or 3 lines. I came to visit, and she goes, I was doing this, play with it. And it just kind of started downloading, but about 10 years ago. So, but it's funny as I look at the iterations, all the different drafts and versions over the years, how it, February is all about Valentine's and love. And so I thought, this song is about self-love. It could be romantic love, the love of God, whatever your experience and expression of God is, higher power, universe, spirit. It's friendship, and it's very universal. Like, I even talk about teachers in the song, but it was my personal expression of like all the ways that love has shown itself in my life, and how very lucky I am. And it speaks to when my doubts are the anchors that hold me, the lighthouse, the compass, the angel. So those are references, and it's really meant to go into the musical, spiritual, energetic water for everyone. So no matter what that love is for you, and I feel like it has to start with ourselves and spirit, but then at the people in our lives, how lucky we are, and to be in that gratitude and the blessings of that. And so it's meant to provide curiosity and discovery and a playground, but just acknowledging unconditional love in all its forms. Again, the I that is me, that is you, but that is we.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah.
And how the gratitude and the connection is what can help you reconnect with that clarity and abundance that you had at age 4.
Yes. Yes.
And just pick that little Shannon up and keep going.
Oh. Yep.
Keep going.
Yep. And the visualizations for knowing, because I know I am meant to be, I know that the audience, the groups of people, then it's big. There are just lots of folks that we're meant to play with and collaborate with through the WOW stage, through Fiercely Peaceful Productions, through music. The Late Show with Stephen Colbert.
Yeah, that's next. That's
visualization. Next. Oh, because he is my hero. He is one of my heroes. He, John Stewart. You're one of my heroes.
Oh,
I have a few. But anyway, so yeah.
Beautiful. Well, we will be playing your song and releasing it with this podcast. And here you go. The time has come.
Thank you so very much. Anybody listening, if there's any way that I can be of service, Jen, I'm so grateful for the playground that we have with WOW Stage and the podcasts and Fiercely Peaceful and all of these things that are blooming and blossoming. And I'm really grateful. One thing I want to say in total transparency, I've never had children. And this feels like I've been carrying this baby in my belly for 10 years.
10 years, not 10 months.
This baby. No.
Not 10 months, 10 years.
10 years. I was almost 10 months before I was born. So 10 years, a month for every year or a year for every month. But I'm really excited and grateful for all to come.
Honored to be like a midwife or a doula of sorts. And
you are.
And you've got this. You've got this. One last push. One last push. Take a deep breath and you're just going to push.
Easy peasy birthing happening here.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So thank you everyone for listening. And we can't wait to hear your thoughts on this story and on this beautiful song of love, gratitude, connection, support, breaking through stories that bind us.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Love you, bro. Love you too. When the storm clouds start to rage and I feel lost at sea, lucky me that you're my lighthouse, lucky me. Lucky me to walk beside you as my closest friend, and I'll cherish every moment through the thick and thin. When the road takes a turn and a path I cannot see, lucky me that you're my compass, lucky.
If you'd like to be a participant on Illuminating the Stories That Bind Us, please fill out the form on jenniferhcarey.com. Jennifer would like to thank every single person that makes this possible, including all of the listeners. Because of you listening and sharing these stories, we may illuminate them and unbind the participants stuck in them. And to the participants, your courage and bravery makes this possible. Thank you. A million thank yous to Cassie Brooks Bowling and her team in making this mission come alive and keep it breathing. You can follow Jen at Jennifer H. Carey on Instagram and on Facebook at Jennifer H. Carey Counseling.